Welcome to another episode of the Delta Learning Podcast, where we explore the bold ideas, creative strategies, and leadership stories to offer useful tips and insights to those in our Delta Learning Network. In today's episode, I'm thrilled to welcome Juan Pablo Lira, known as JP, who's principal at Focus Lighting, a renowned architectural lighting design firm known for transforming spaces through immersive, customized lighting solutions. With a background that blends design excellence and strategic leadership, JP brings a unique perspective on how creative vision and business growth go hand in hand. At Focus Lighting, he plays a pivotal role in both leading standout design projects and steering the company's expansion in a competitive design-driven industry. In this conversation, we'll explore JP's personal journey into the lighting world, the leadership mindset required to fuel both innovation and profitability, and how Focus Lighting balances aesthetic brilliance with real business value. We'll also dive into the dynamics of high-end design services and how the team at Focus Lighting stay agile and inspired in a fast evolving market. Whether you're a creative leader, a business strategy, or simply curious about what it takes to thrive at the intersection of art and commerce, this episode offers deep insights into leading with vision and purpose. We hope you enjoy this illuminating episode on design, innovation, leadership, and business growth with JP, Principal at Focus Lighting. Hi everyone, welcome to our latest podcast. I'm really pleased to have with me JP, who's a principal at Focus Lighting, based over in New York in the US. Hi JP, I'm really going to hand over to you to give us a bit more of an introduction about yourself and a bit about your history, if you would.
Sure. Hi Steve, thank you for having me. I'm JP Lira. I'm actually from studied architecture in Chile, and then came over to New York to actually try out at Focus, and it worked out. And I'm a principal lighting designer here at the office. We have a group of about 35 people, a mix of designers and support staff, and we do high-end architectural lighting all over the world. Mostly hospitality, but we diverge into other areas as well.
Perfect, thank you. And I had a look at the at your website. I mean, some of the designs on there are absolutely incredible. What are sort of one or two of the highlights that stick out for you?
There's a lot there to look after. It's we're always trying to push ourselves and doing better work, being critical about our own designs, and trying to collaborate with people who want to do interesting things. We're very we drill down into what needs to be done for a project to come out right, to be successful, to be entertaining, for it to be in a way special, so people can really go into them, experience them, and don't really know what's going on, but come out of them with a feeling of like, I really like that space, and they sometimes don't know, and hopefully for them to come back.
And is there a particular location that sort of sticks out? You know, if people were visiting New York and they they wanted to experience the best of your work, where should they go?
Well, if we want to focus on hospitality, I'd say there are a couple of restaurants in New York that people should go visit, and not even just for the food, just go experience the restaurant. If you can eat, that's amazing too.
Yeah.
But there's one that is close to my heart, which is it's the Tao restaurant in the meatpacking district, and it's a kind of it's a full block of New York, from kind of north to south. Corner, and there's a lot of time spent in the design. Like in this case, time was not money, it was space was money. The time that you spend from the front door to go in through a tunnel, greet the host, and turn right, and then turn right again to see the whole restaurant, kind of in kind of a cinematic way, is very strong. it was the first project we collaborated with the Tao group, and after that, it was we saw eye to eye with everyone there, and we kept working with them. And every time we were pushing the limit and making things a little better for them, trying to see their vision and really honing into idea of what makes each project special.
Thank you. So there we go on this podcast. Also recommendations of great places to eat where the lighting is
Yes.
aligned. I wonder if you'd just give us a little bit of a brief history of, how you got to where you are now. What
Sure.
were some of
Yeah.
the highlights on that journey for you?
Well, I have to go back all the way to my dad's a photographer, and I was kind of trained under him a little bit indirectly. I was never wanted to be a photographer as growing up, but I also grabbed the camera and started to learn about composition and light, and his pursuit of either if he was outside making a photo shoot outdoors, uh, or he was doing stuff in his studio, it was always the pursuit of the perfect lighting scene, the perfect light, either at sunset for the outside, or being under trees with dappled light, or in the studio is like how do you get the balance of backlight, front light, side light, and I without that I never saw that until I was very older. I was like, oh, that's why. And then on the other side, I had a curiosity for building. Um, so I studied architecture, and I wanted to study architecture and art at the same time, and that was not something that you would do when in Chile, where I come from, 30 years ago almost. And so they had me choose, like, you got to study one or the other. And I studied architecture, and it was super fun. I wanted to be an architect, but as I went into working after finishing the career, I started to feel like I need to do something different. And I had the opportunity to come to New York to try out at Focus Lighting for a couple of months. And it was for 6 months. It was like, okay, yeah, let's try another 6 months. And little by little, it started to grow on me, and I started to see things a little different. Um, and architecture taught you how to see spaces. A room is not a room. It's not an empty room. A room is a void. It's almost like it's full of water. And how you stretch that water, the space, you build it up. Coming into Focus Lighting and working here and learning kind of in situ with the team here as I was very young, I started to apply kind of a different filter onto my eyes and brain of how I can see how light works in that void, which is very interesting, and it's still nourishing. And it's the reason I'm still doing this. Is just like every day is there's a kind of new chapter you can open. Like I come on Mondays like happy, like to work. And like I'm
Yeah.
not dreadful about Mondays. I actually like Mondays more than Fridays. Because it's like it's a new chapter. You're like, what's new, or can we do today? Um
Yeah. Thank God it's Monday, right?
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And so has all of your career then, from finishing architectural college, has that all been with Focus Lighting?
I worked a year in Chile for doing some stuff there, and then after that came here, and I was able to stay, and I'm still here, and it's great.
Very good.
Um,
And you said nearly 30 years, so it must be a really great place to work.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Good. Um, Being a principal at Focus Lighting, you're not only leading on design projects, but you're also leading on growing the business. How do you balance those two aspects?
well, the uh, our I think we should measure our growth in terms of as a design firm. Our growth is about training our team and making sure that the training I had passes on to the next generation. We actually bring every young designer who comes in goes through like a year or 2 year course of different classes we do internally. to get them to understand how we want to do things, how they need to be structured. Um, and, and then in that training, we then start to show them how we see things, I want them to think. My point of view is a little bit of an architectural point of view that I bring to the office. Most of the teams, most of the designers in the office come from theater, which is different. Um, and I try to show them what an architect's point of view is. And now with all these experience I've had, actually the point of view I want them to make is not just the architects, it's the client, is the server at the restaurant, the person who comes in for the first time at the restaurant and has his first experience in that space. And if you can have a designer start to think how people are going to experience the space from every background, not just the designer background, you can then, I think, create the growth that we're looking for. A more complete designer that understands the problems a little faster than before. I think that's where I would catalog the growth of our company.
So it's around bringing on the next generation of designers who can then contribute to the growth overall of the business, and making that investment in them as well. I was interested, you mentioned that many of them come from the world of theatre. It resonated with me because my daughter works as part of backstage crew in the West End in London. So that kind of struck me as a place where lighting is at the forefront. When you go to the theatre and you see that going on. How does it differ then, maybe from a background in theatre to what you're looking to achieve with the clients that you have?
Well, I'd say the theater crew is they're very good team players. It's amazing how you grab a couple of theater people and they say, "Hey, we got to get something together," and they're hands on. It's very interesting to see happen. They have a little more exercise and perception and understanding of the optics of light early on because they're playing with fixtures all the time as they grow up. And color is something that they're strong in. And and I'd say many of them also have a strength in composition and what's important, which is I learn from them every day because there's things I was not trained on as a young architect, but they are. I give them the other side of spatially what is right. Like sometimes spaces feel too tight or too big, and how do we, the discussions about around space, I think I can handle and help them out a little more. Also finishes within the space, like what is the right appropriate finish for a space. Architects, most of them derive to just being white. And what I've kind of have a new muscle of what is the right color in the space to achieve the vision that the project needs. Because there's so many kinds of white, and some whites are, help you. Some whites actually hurt you, but all within the broader vision of what is the ultimate goal with that space.
Yes, and how do you create that theme and that mood? I'm guessing, but I don't know. You'd have to answer this. I'm guessing it's a pretty competitive space that you're in with the business.
Yeah.
How do you identify opportunities for growth within, that competitive market? And also, what differentiates Focus Lighting from the others out there?
Well, what we do is a small niche. I think there are a handful of companies that do what we do. High-end designs that need to happen fast, with a lot of stake at hand. So what differentiates us from other companies is it's the get it done approach. We are, in a way, relentless. Once we start a project, we always end it. I don't think there's ever a project that we actually didn't keep going till the end. Because and that's kind of a theater spirit of, you have a show, it's opening, and it's opening on Monday, and you have 4 days to do it.
Yeah.
And we, you stretch that through 6 months, a year, 5 years, whatever the project length is. And our approach is like, okay, we have to finish because we need to be at the end when everything is done. Our discipline deals with the invisible, right? I deal with something you cannot touch, right? All you see is reflected light, the light bouncing on my sweater, on my face, in the brick behind me. That's what you see. And to that end, I have to make sure that at the end, everything looks good as I was meant to be. It's very hard for you to talk about the experience and the results and kind of hone into that idea of the experience that you can tell to other clients if you're not being there at the end. That's what differentiates us from other companies, is like we get it done. Like no matter what, it will be there till the end. Because that's where you see the real result. That's where you start to see people smiling, and you're like, oh, now I see all this. Well, that's why you push so hard in doing that little test or that mock-up early on.
Yeah. And are you providing a full service from design through to installation?
Yes, as a design firm, we start us as a design firm. The ideal is that we start very early. Uh, we could be brought in during concept to just like listen and see what they're thinking. But once there's a clear idea, this is what we want, we get involved, and we need to work hand in hand with both the interior designer, architect, client, and sometimes many other disciplines, audio, food service, AV, even mechanical. Like I'm always trying to talk to the HVAC guys because I want to make sure that they're putting their ducts in a way that won't affect our design. Lighting fixtures coming many times at the end of the process. They put everything else first, and if I don't have my position secured, I may be compromising the vision that the owner had. And that's kind of like we try to get ahead of this. So we start in concept through DD, through CD, and then CA is where kind of the magic happens. And many times is where all the effort you did through in the design process and documentation, if you don't keep that up and you're not kind of like aware of what's going on, you could lose big time. And then at the end, it's not what you wanted. Maybe because you missed 1 week, one site visit,
Right?
which was which was key.
Yeah, challenging and also I'm guessing lots of contractors and subcontractors involved in that process as well.
Yeah, we actually, it's funny, the contractor relationship has to be a very firm one, but also a very friendly one. You have to get them to understand what we're trying to do. They get a set of plans that they don't see really the vision early on. We come to the table when construction happens with renderings to say, this is what we want to do. Look how special this has to be. So they get invested and they feel a little bit like, oh, I'm doing something very interesting. I gotta make it right. Oh, there's a change. I should call the designer now because I remember that rendering that he showed us on the first meeting. And then that's with like the broader construction team. Then with the electrical contractors, you actually get into you get to know them a little more. You actually become to know, sometimes you're there for 2 nights in a row, spending some time. You even have like maybe dinner together, and you start to know them on the inside, and you start to actually train them. Sometimes, many times you have to go there and you work with 2 or 3 or 4 contractors at the same time. You show them how to aim a light, and then they go around and do it, and then they see what they did, and they're like, feel proud. It's like, wow, I made that. And because lighting fixtures these days take a lot of things, items in it, accessories. There's a lot of finicky technology in it, and once they see what they did, they actually I feel proud about the work. So in a way, we're training our designers in-house, and to the next level, we're also training the contractors there.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting relationship once it all works.
Yeah. And I've worked with a few other organizations that are suppliers to the construction industry. One of the things that always pops out is the conflict between high-end bespoke products and services and the contractor's pressure to come in at a price. How does that manifest itself in your world?
Um, First, you have to set the expectations clear with the client that what they want has a value of X. That they cannot want a very special thing without the value of X. Because many times what happens is like the job gets bid out. We looked at the architectural package. We're very involved with the decorative package from the interior architect or whoever chooses the decorative, because in a way we are kind of the curators of the space. We need to make sure that everything is balanced. So I need to make sure that the fixtures I specify on the architectural side work well, but I also have to be sure that the decorative fixtures also work well in synchrony. Because if, let's say, the big chandelier ends up not dimming very low as everyone expects, once installed, I can't fix it. It's just it's too much effort to do it. So you have to first set the expectation with the owner that this is going to cost this much, explain them why, get them to kind of like secure those funds. So we're not jeopardizing the overall vision of the project. Because sometimes during the CA process, everyone gets kind of narrowed into like, okay, we got to meet the budget. We got to meet the budget. And yes, we have to meet the budget, but we have to make sure we allocate the budget properly for what they are, for the vision they're wanting to receive.
And who sort of leads on the sales effort inside your organization?
Our clients come from different areas.
Yeah.
Either they're new clients that heard about us and they saw our website, or they heard by word of mouth, oh, you want a good lighting designer, that you should get Focus Lighting. And we also have repeat clients who, once they work one with us, they understand that we are the right team member.
Yeah.
We're, in a way, we're very needy with everyone. We ask a lot of questions because we know that we want to make sure that whatever is done correctly. We don't leave things for chance. And also we have architects with whom we've partnered for the last 35 years. And they see how what we bring to the table, which is very important these days. 5 minutes with one of our designers should advance the project and answer a lot of questions or open new questions that need to be dealt with. That's where I think our sales is strong, is when they understand how we work, how we think, and how we can make their projects better.
I'm curious, is there any research into, the value that lighting brings beyond illumination, in businesses, different types of businesses?
I'm sure there's something out there.
Yeah.
The value that I'd say we bring as a company, and that differentiates us a lot from maybe other companies, is we are very hands-on in understanding the vision and then understanding where should the client and the architect spend their efforts. So for example, if you have a room where you have you have a beautiful ceiling and you have also beautiful walls, we're like, okay, we have to light both the ceiling and the walls. So we have to spend the money on the light fixtures, either decorative or architectural fixtures, to illuminate those. And many times in the process, we're like, all right, we want to light this wall, and we see the finish together. We're like, well, I don't think you want to light this wall. This finish is not good enough to be lit. So let's not spend money on this. Let's do it a different way. Maybe let's do an array of sconces that gives you a rhythm throughout the room. And that collaboration and conversation with both the interior designer or architect and the client in the same room is very important, because that's where they see the value of, oh, this is the value you bring to the table. You're actually making me spend the money in the right way, because that's how people are going to see it with your eye in the room when you walk into a room. And you can test this yourself. Next time you walk in the room, any space that is kind of new, just check where your eye goes and see, is that the most expensive feature or finish in the room?
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it.
Excellent. It also struck me that maybe there's a difference in lighting between fast food restaurants and restaurants where they'd like the customers to stay a bit longer. I don't know if that's also a truth.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely true. I mean, even in high-end restaurants, they actually want to
Turntables, yeah.
turntables fast enough.
Yeah.
But the important part is, like, when you go to a restaurant or let's say hotel too, is like you want people to feel good,
Mm,
because you want them to remember that feeling, that they were in a space that actually the person in front of them looked good, or the stranger in front of them looked good,
yeah.
but they were feeling good. Uh, and if you can reach that, you then have created a client for them that will come back.
Yeah.
So even though people want to turn things fast, uh, it's about how the comfort they had in that room for them to come back. Food is a factor, obviously, in your decision to come back to any space that serves that is a restaurant or fast food, but also, did it feel nice inside? That's key. Uh, some time ago, I did a talk in Portugal, and I called it addictive beauty. You want something to feel so nice and beautiful that you actually want to come back again. And
Yeah.
it's not about the space being beautiful. It's like you felt beauty, like around you, like the people felt beautiful. Um, and that really hones on how lighting bounces on finishes inside the space that then you see.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, as I get older, maybe more complementary lighting is becoming more important in my world. Uh,
Well, what happens to you now as you're older, and happens to me, is like you're a little more delicate, and you feel things a little harsher,
mm,
you know, than before. When something bothers you, it really bothers you.
yeah.
Right? And when you like something, you really like it. So you have a little more stronger opinions about, like, black and white.
I'll tell you what I do have a strong opinion about. That is when I'm in a restaurant, uh, I struggle to read the menu
Yeah.
and I have to get my Apple iPhone out with its torch on.
Yes.
And I'm wearing multifocal contacts, which allegedly give me 20/20 vision, and still it is a challenge.
Yes. And that's a problem. That's a discussion point with every restaurateur that you talk to.
Yeah,
How do you like, what do you want your people to experience? And obviously no one wants their phones to come out,
yeah,
right, for reading the menu. But when it happens, it means that there is sort of an imbalance in the space, or there was a decision made that I want this to feel kind of like.
yeah,
I don't like we've always had we're in the discussions every day about, do we do accents on every table, or not? Do we just let the candle on the table or the table lamp on the table? Or how close do you bring a decorative fixture closer to the table so you prevent that situation? Because obviously, if everyone turns their phones off to see the menu, it kills the ambience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's a simple fix, and that is a bigger font size on the menu itself.
and that's and actually, you would be you say that jokingly.
Yeah.
We actually sometimes say that out loud,
Yeah.
because that happens during they're the kind of like the every restaurant passes through like days or weeks of testing, and that's where the menus come out, and we're like, oh, like that font size is too small, and we have these arguments with like the chef and the general manager and the owner, like, and the architect, like, yeah, like, I have 2020 and I have trouble reading that menu.
Yeah.
But and then you would say, here's the other thing. One is font size. The other one is contrast.
Yeah. The color
So
of the paper itself.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then like, you put font contrast and where the lighting sources come from. And then you have a kind of a real conversation about what is right, how
Mm.
to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. The design of lighting impacts the design of everything else in the place as well.
Well, I can make not me, I'd say, our designs can make a space that has a lot of exposed hardware and ducts look really good, as long as I don't light it. But for that, I have to have full control and understanding of the finishes. Let's say if you're doing a room that has all exposed ductwork in the ceiling and you have white tables, as soon as the light the white table, it's going to bounce back into the ceiling, and the whole ceiling is going to have maybe additional 30% of light in the ceiling that's unwanted. So for us to have a full picture is a required it's a required knowledge for us, so we can deliver what the owner wants. And that's a kind of a push and pull day experience with everyone. We're always like, I need the architect and the client to be very upfront of what's going on. Like, you can't change anything without us knowing. And many times they're like, they're like frustrated. It's like, okay, but it's only changing this much. It's like, it doesn't matter. You're like,
Yeah.
I need to see what you're doing. I need to see what you see so I can really deliver what you want. I always tell the architects, I want you to feel that I'm next to you in the office. I'm not physically next to you, but I'm next to you. So as soon as something happens, there's a change, all you need to say is, hey, JP, this happened. And I'll take it in and I'm like, okay. And I'll see then with the team internally, is like, okay, do we need to do something? Do we need to adjust? Or do we need to say immediately back to that designer or client, you're making a mistake? And in this day and age, we can't hold ourselves up. There's too many things that I've done in the past that I held up because I wanted to have a little more respect and have the architect lead. And it was I should not have let him do that. It ended up being a mistake in the job site, which we were able to fix, luckily. But there was a big risk involved in that. These days, you have to be collaboration is key for our work.
Yeah, and we've mentioned the hospitality business a number of times. I don't know what the situation in the US and specifically New York is right now, but here in the UK, we're seeing the closure of lots of hospitality businesses, bars, restaurants. Is that impacting the market over there, or is it impacting you at all? And if so, how are you pivoting around that?
I mean, I would say that definitely there's a little bit of a nervousness in the market. But New York is a space that restaurants open for 2 weeks and then close
Right.
because of their just things didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing. And or sometimes they run for a year and they close because they did not have enough revenue to return the investment they did. It's really about the concept of the space and what the client wants to do in terms of their success. If they can actually get to that niche and do the appropriate marketing and trying to get people in there, things will move on and work out. I mean, even though you have to be very, very rigorous with your teams internally in restaurateurs, but I'm not seeing a lot of closing yet that I'd say it's a problem, because we also are working on multiple restaurants right now.
Yeah.
So I see that there's a lot of need for experiences. But definitely, I know there's a big scrunch on budgeting internally on their end.
Yeah, I guess New York is one of those places where it'll always be evolving.
Yeah. Now, but what that does do, though, Steve, is that with that kind of like feeling of, okay, the market is tight, is that we have to be more efficient on our work. Everyone has to be more efficient. And that's one of the things we're trying to just implement and train, is like, how do we make things not faster, but how do we make sure that we focus on the right elements in the space that are the important ones, so we can do a design that is a little more figured out early on entirely, and we can be efficient with our time during that process.
And that sort of leads me to a question about AI. I'm always interested, as you know, it's the topic on everyone's lips over the last 12 to 18 months. Are you seeing any positive or negative implications of AI, in the business or outside of the business?
Like everyone, we're trying it out.
Yeah.
We're seeing a little bit of help in maybe rendering. You could do AI. We've not seen it in design yet. Our designs are very intricate, and there's a lot of testing we have to do physically. So because we to get to the right answer, we go through a lot of wrong answers first, of what to try, what to test, what's the right approach here. That's we're not found a way to use AI to do that for us, because we like to play with light as I grab a pen, right? I like to hold the fixture and shoot at the finish that's real. AI has been, we've seen a little bit of advance in kind of the rendering stage. Say, okay, can you just adjust this rendering a little? But design-wise, I've not seen the value. We see that a lot of things are coming out that look amazing, kind of like finished designs, and you're like, is that real or not real? And we're always like, kind of working our line, like, what do you think? Is that could we do that? Is that accomplished? So I think it's an open chapter. There are other things we're looking into the future, Steve, that I think are, in a way, AI is leading the market, is leading this effort, and everyone's jumping in. But I'm trying to, we as an office are trying to see how we can make our designs more efficient in terms of usage of power. That's, I think, where the next thing we're looking at is to see how we can use less power to do our designs, maybe with different protocols, where you can have it, so one space is just powered by one or two power circuits, and have the same flexibility and design features we had before. That's where I think we're looking into and try to experiment. And obviously, we're trying to do it here in the office first. We try to test things out first internally and make sure that we can go through the issues and troubleshooting before we put it out onto a real job on the street and put an owner through that process.
Very good. And in terms of your own learning and development, how do you stay current or even ahead of what is current?
That's hard. I always do the metaphor that are dealing with lighting these days, because it's not lamps anymore. There's a lot of technology, diodes, drivers. It's like if an architect had a piece of teak wood, um, and the teak wood is teak wood. You know how you give it to a millworker, he knows how to drill the holes, he knows the thickness, it won't change. He can specify it and buy it from some supplier. It'll be mostly always the same. Right? Maybe the grain is different. A lighting fixture these days is like if you had the teak wood, that every 6 months the teak wood was different. And you had to relearn how to use it. And you had to retest it. You have to drill the holes again and see, okay, is it more flexible now? Like, what do I do with this wood? Technology for lighting design is that now. We have a lab here that all we do is test new fixtures that come out to see if they do what they say they do. And that's something that is not really seen by clients and the industry. You have to explain. We're like, when they say like we can't just specify a fixture, it's like no, you can't just do that anymore. You have to get samples, test them out, see that it works, show them, and once they get involved in the process of what goes through that, of that learning what's in the market, they have a little more, I'd say, respect. It was like, okay, I know you got to test it now, because now they say like, okay, make sure you do your testing before you specify. So it's in their mind that they know it has to be tested. And that happens both with architectural lighting and with decorative lighting. It broadens the whole spectrum, because either if you do there are two types of decorative fixtures in terms of technology. There's ones that you can just put a bulb inside, right? An LED bulb. And then the others that have integral light diodes inside that actually need a driver. But the ones that are screw-in that you buy in Home Depot, you can use for your house, so on. We grab those lamps, and actually we push their limits, because sometimes we dim very, very low, or do some or use a huge amount of quantities, and we have to do our own testing for those lamps. So we're continuously we have these lists of like, okay, this is okay to do this. You can only do 10 of them together. You're going to split those up if you do more than 10, because it starts to misbehave. So there's a lot of testing to keep up to date. That's, I think, on the technology side. The other side is you have to you have to have a door open to what's outside. You have to go look at other people's designs, go see art galleries, get a little bit of get nourished of what's out there, and in a way that it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go look for this. It's more about like, just go experience it and have a fun time doing it, so you can learn from what's out there. And the same goes with other designers. I try to engage with other lighting designers and see what they think. What do they do? Just have a conversation. There's enough, I think, work for everyone, that people should be a little more open about like, oh, this is how you do it. Oh, that's interesting. I'd never thought about that. And there's always something to learn. We're not the end. We don't have it all here.
Yeah, it's a good abundance mentality.
And the critical thing there, Steve, is like you have to kind of train that curiosity. You can't just look at everything on your phone now. That's younger people, I think, tend to do it. You have to like go out there and ask. Many times we go into a space that we like, and we start to talk to the manager, and then he starts to spill the story of like, oh, this is what happened in this area. I'll tell you what, I was here. And it's very interesting, because you get like, the rear word or the story right from the origin. He was there when it happened.
Yeah, that reminds me. I heard an interview with Paul Smith, the designer. You might know him from his tailoring, Paul Smith clothing. And he spoke about this need to consciously go around with your eyes open, to allow that creative process to occur. And he was also saying, stay off the phones. Stay off the phones and get into the world.
I think to that same point, I don't know if you know Tadao Ando, the famous Japanese architect.
I don't.
So in architecture school, you would go draw on the street, and we would go for hours on the
Yeah.
street just to draw areas until about you're working on a project on a corner and you just drew around the corner. And the point of that was, one, to exercise how you use a pen and paper, put your ideas into paper, but also it makes you this subjective, kind of the subjective layer of thinking, of what's happening in the space as you draw. And as you draw, you're actually exercising a different muscle there about what you're about to do. Which I think is key, is like, it's actually, this is go out and draw, because something will come out as you draw that will make you think critically about the project you're doing, and hopefully help you out.
Yes. And maybe I can ask you this question from a personal perspective. How much of your ability to design, be creative, and draw is nature, genetically handed down, and how much is nurture through practice or opportunity?
Oh, I'd say, because my dad's a photographer, and out of my mom's family, I had sculptor, painter, actor, 3 architects.
Right.
There's a lot of DNA there. I know it's coming, but I'd say that makes 25% of the mix. It's really about experimenting. If you're an architect, you got to be building models. You got to be drawing. If you're a lighting designer, you have to be building that model and lighting it up. So there's like that second layer. Full scale, ideally, on a lighting designer. You want to know how it feels like for real. Put the fixture at 20 feet and see if that's okay. No computer will tell you. No rendering will tell you. You have to feel it. Because then you can defend it, or you can adjust it. And that's the part of the process that we do. You want to be able to try things out until you get to the right answer. Many times, you try it out the first and you're like, oh, I think I got it. And then you try 6 some more things and you're like, well, it looks like the first or the second one were the right thing. But not until you do all the others, you'll know that that was right.
JP, that's perfect. That's perfect. I don't know if that goes some way to explain why my art is stuck at about age 12. It has never progressed since. So maybe I didn't have the 25%. I certainly didn't do the other 75% to move it on.
I can help you move it on, Steve. Here's we actually, one of the classes we do here is I take the young designers sketching on the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the key is, and I did this at school because I was also a sketching assistant professor, is 1,000 drawings in a week.
Okay. Wow.
Steve, if you start today and in a week you do 1,000 drawings, I tell you by next Monday, Tuesday actually, your hand will feel a little better. You'll move differently, and things will come out of your hand. They'll be like, I can't believe I just did this.
Well, that's really good. That's good, brilliant advice. At the very least, I'll be 1,000 drawings better.
Exactly. Yes.
Marvelous. JP, thank you so much for today. It's been a really interesting conversation about a topic that I knew very little. And I feel like you've educated me and also the people that will watch and listen to this. So once again, thank you so much for your time. Where can we find out more information about focus lighting?
Well, we have a website, which you can see a big portfolio. We're on Instagram as well, and Facebook. There, I think images of our projects get posted up. But also, if you're interested, just give a call. Our phones, we have a landline, so there's no machine. You can just talk to someone for real. And I think our emails are there too, so feel free to reach out. We actually do get some people who just reach out of the blue, which is very interesting. A pizza restaurateur out of DC just called and we ended up helping him out on 3 or 4 of his venues and his house at the end. And he was a passionate guy. He was a guy who like kind of figured things out, but he needed that extra push, that extra knowledge to make it feel great.
Excellent. JP, once again, thank you so much. Yeah, look forward to hearing more about this in the future. Thanks for tuning into this episode of our Sales Podcast Series 3. We hope the insights resonated with you and provoked some thought. If you found value in today's episode, please make sure to subscribe so you never miss out on expert tips and strategies from our guests across different industries. And remember, Delta Learning is here to help you transform your team's performance in 2025. When you're looking to either build capability or deliver better business results, then please approach us as a potential partner. Visit deltalearning.co.uk to learn more about how we can support your team's growth, or email me steve@deltalearning.co.uk with any questions or just to have a chat to see how we might work together. Thank you.